The Americans make memories in St. Louis.
What a beautiful shot down the glove! Obus Pienaar, the man, the machine, the superstar, raising up the last ball.
The Stallions gain another length over the field. What's in store in the coming round of interdivision play? Join us as we find out on Emerging Cricket's Minor League Cricket Show.
Oh, he's bowling.
Let's go home.
I'm lost for words. This will run away for four, and that's the VM. Lovely shot all along the ground. Delivery pitched up.
Welcome to Emerging Cricket's Minor League Cricket Show. I'm Nate Hayes, Emerging Cricket's American correspondent. Today, I've decided to mix things up a bit, and I'm welcoming Joel Manning from At the Crease with Joel Manning to help me catch you up on last week's happenings and to talk about the exciting week that's to come. Joel, welcome, and thank you for this contribution.
No problem at all. It's a pleasure to be here, Nate.
As you can see, I'm sporting this Orlando Galaxy hat. I copped it from the team last week when they visited Morrisville. And I want to say that it's actually a pretty good quality hat. Joel, now that you're on the show, maybe you can expect things like this falling in your lap.
I would appreciate it. Like my head is a bit bare right now.
Yeah, well, hats are jerseys too, whatever. If another team wants to send me their hat, I'll wear it on the show too. We're getting close to the back stretch of the season and the playoff picture is clearing up. The New Jersey Stallions are 2 games up right now on everyone else in the East and starting to pull away from a group with, frankly, a lot of parity. A 2-run win over the Titans and a 6-wicket victory over the Cavaliers gives them a little bit of breathing room, thanks in part to their excellent fast bowling group of Jesse Singh, Stephen Wigg, and Justin Dill. And also thanks to the fact that nobody else in the division seems to be able to win 2 games in a row. Joel, the Stallions seem like the only team that's consistent in this division. What are your thoughts? Is somebody going to chase them down or will they fly away with the division?
For me right now, I think they could potentially fly away with the division, and simply because of the all-round performances that they've had. So you had Dominic Ricci with the bat, 237 runs. Then you have Mukamada, who has 224 runs. But then on top of that, they back it up with the ball. You just mentioned some of their bowlers, Jasdeep Singh, Stephen Wigg, Justin Dill. These guys are in the top wicket takers for the tournament so far. So for me, as it stands currently, I believe that they will top the zone. What I'm really interested in is who is going to get that second qualifying spot, because you have DC Hawks and the Philadelphians right behind them, 24 points and 22 points respectively. So this weekend is going to be extremely crucial for those 2 teams heading in.
Right, and then you also have the Yorkers in the mix, who started off in the season really, really hot, and then just can't seem to get their footing back right now. So, it looks like kind of like 4 teams in there in the mix of things.
Definitely, honestly, and this weekend for me is going to tell a lot, especially for a team like the DC Hawks, because I believe that they're coming up against Atlanta Fire, who have been performing well. So for me, I think that it's going to be a very crucial weekend, especially for the DC Hawks.
Yeah, and also we've got the Yorkers versus the Titans here. Titans are a pretty good team too. They can't seem to put two wins in a row together, but they do have a good team. They rely a lot on Griffith to score runs for them, and man, when he does, they can beat anybody. But I think the worry is when he doesn't. We saw a few dramatic endings this weekend. I already mentioned the 2-run win for the Stallions, but what about the Philadelphians? Jonathan Fu scoring a 6th on the 5th ball of the 20th over to beat the Manhattan Yorkers, and Obus Pienaar hitting Willem Luddick to long off for 4 to win on the final ball over Houston. Did you see all the fans pouring onto the field?
No, I definitely did. And it was good for cricket watchers. It was good for viewing on a whole. Let's start with the Jonathan Fu 6. First of all, the composure of Jonathan at the crease, just to bring that over the line, was a talking point in itself. But then to see the spectators, to see the players, and how much that meant to them, because it was not to say that it was a final It was not their qualifying match. This was a regular season match. And to see that kind of enthusiasm really tells you about the passion that there is for cricket at this stage. And it's something that we definitely love to see. Flip over now to the Houston Hurricanes. And Obus was spectacular, and once again, to see everybody running onto the field, it really tells you about how much the love is there. One, for him as a player. Two, just for simply being able to win, and three, just for cricket on a whole.
Right, and I like the visual of that. For me personally, everybody running from that covered pavilion that in St. Louis, that really gives that ground away when you see it. Very American looking, like turn of the century, of something that looked like it came straight out of a movie 100 years ago, the way it's shaped and everything. And so seeing people pouring out of that, it's like it was just so cool. And I was talking to a friend of mine, reminiscing about Stephen Taylor beating Canada when USA needed 22 runs to win in the final over at Church Street Park, and how everyone stormed the field afterwards. After that, there wasn't anything to do. There was nowhere to go for a new cricket fan who had seen the cricket for the first time. There were people there who'd never seen cricket before, and their first experiences, they're jumping up and down because they just saw something they couldn't believe. And there was nowhere for them to go the next week to watch a game. And right now we're in the middle of the season. If you want to see that again, if you saw something new and you got excited by that, we've got 35 games next week. That's one of the great things about having a schedule, having a solid system like this.
Definitely, I truly agree with that. That really and truly is what this MiLC cricket, this Toyota MiLC Cricket Championship is all about. Making sure that there is cricket week in, week out. And for me, I think it would also augur well for after this season, because you might find a lot more games popping up for people just to head down and see as well.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. So if the season were to end today, it'd be the Stallions and the DC Hawks in the East, the Morrisville Cardinals and the Atlanta Fire in the South, by a long margin. The Austin Athletics and the Houston Hurricanes in the Central, and the East Bay Blazers and the Golden State Grizzlies in the West. Michigan, Irving, Silicon Valley, Seattle, the Philadelphians, and the Manhattan Yorkers are all on the outside of the divisions looking in. Those are some pretty good teams left out in the cold. I think that just goes to show how difficult this league really is.
I definitely agree. And when we look at the matchups that we have for this weekend, like I said, we have, for example, Atlanta Fire, DC Hawks coming out there. Mooresville will be taking on Manhattan Yorkers as well this weekend. And those are some key matchups that we have going on in the Atlantic. But for me, my real focus is going to shift over to the Pacific. There are a lot of key matchups that are going to happen over there, because the points are really close. When you look at the Western, East Bay Blazers 28, Golden State Grizzlies 28, Silicon Valley Strikers 28. So it is anybody's horse race over there. But for me, I think Michigan will have the hardest weekend. They will. You're right. Michigan, they're facing up against Golden State. They're facing East Bay Blazers. They're facing Seattle Thunderbolts.
Tough one.
If I was a Michigan cricketer right now, I'll be sweating in my boots. One, sweating because of the challenge that's going to come, and I'll be ready for that challenge. But two, it's like you have very little time to recover after you face a challenge this weekend.
Yeah, I'd be drinking my orange juice right now if I were them. So yeah, the Bay Area has been pretty safe lately. They've pretty much beaten up on the other teams in the division. Seattle's kind of held their own, but everybody else, they've kind of beaten everybody else up. It'll be interesting to see them, three of the top four teams playing against Michigan, who has shown that they're a very good team, and somehow sits in third place, even in spite of all the performances they've had.
Yeah, honestly, and when we look at it, so there's Ryan Scott, 285 runs, but then you also have people backing up with the ball. So Matthew Ford has been spectacular, has a hat trick, 15 wickets. Zia Khan, 12. Nicholas Curtin with his off breaks, he has 11. Nikhil Kanchan, 274 runs. So I expect that they will put up a very good fight, but it will be extremely tough once again against Golden State, who has Sami Aslam, 212. Then you have Vaghela, one of the top wicket takers with 17. So this week, I think that Michigan's batting will face the greatest test they have probably faced in this entire tournament, given the level or the quality, of bowlers that they will come against this weekend. And funny enough, it might begin to tell us who is going to take that second, who's going to take that first spot. I think this weekend, when they bat this weekend, that's going to tell us, how good of a team they really are.
Yeah, and they really couldn't get any luck. They're facing 3 of the top 4 teams. That third team in that division that they're not facing will be without Saurabh Netravalkar, who is their best bowler. Actually, they'll be without their top 2 best bowlers, who are going with the USA to Oman. So they're not playing the team that's losing the most guys, and they have to play everybody else. So that's a whole nother dynamic we didn't really touch on yet, is all of the USA cricketers that are going to be on tour. There'll be 15 players from the league that'll be out of the league for the next 22 days or so. And that can upset a few things, especially in the South, with Atlanta having both Stephen Taylor and Aaron Jones missing from their line. Yeah. And that's a pretty big loss for them. And then you also have Morrisville Cardinals, which will be without Jaskaran Malhotra, who scored 90 runs, I think, on 35 balls this past weekend. He was a man possessed. So that will that'll give the Atlanta Pioneers a chance, maybe to make up some ground if the other 2 teams struggle in that division. And that goes for all the teams that have USA cricketers on their roster. It's going to be a tough 3 weeks for them.
No, I honestly will, and especially for teams who already lost players who have gone, for example, to the CPL and whatnot, which is where I think Houston Hurricanes have, kind of felt the pain a little bit, because guys like Ashley Nurse had to leave them. Then you had Ali Khan leaving as well. So a loss of a player definitely will hurt them, and it's going to tell you about the depth that these teams have over the next couple of weeks, certainly. So, we could actually see position shifting within these last couple of weeks in tournament. Somebody who we don't really expect at this present stage to be in that semifinal could be there.
Right. And we talked about the Stallions. They'll be missing Jesse Singh and Dominic Ricky. And those are 2 key players on their team. So they'll be very happy to be heading into this next 3 weeks, 2 games ahead. And with everyone else struggling to win 2 and even 2 in a row at any series, that's a cushion that might be enough of a cushion for them.
They say early points out are the best points to have, so we'll see.
Yep. Well, Joel, thank you very much for joining me. It's definitely, I enjoy this kind of conversational type of discussion about the week past. It's a lot easier for me, I think, than maybe just reading off of something that I wrote. So I appreciate you joining in, pitching in to the effort here.
That is no problem at all. I enjoy talking cricket.
All right. Thanks, Joel. As Joel and I discussed, USA Cricket announced their men's ODI squad for the Cricket World Cup League 2 tour of Oman, and you can read more about that at emergingcricket.com. As usual, I was at Church Street Park on Saturday night, home of the Morrisville Cardinals, and site of the inaugural finals weekend for the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sling TV. There, I was lucky enough to see the fastest 50 yet in minor league cricket, as the Cardinals' own Jaskaran Malhotra blasted his way to the landmark in only 18 balls. Here's more from that night.
I wanted to bat first, but when I went in for the toss, I saw the wicket was very dry, and I thought the wicket would spin when the sun is out, because under the lights, ball skids onto the bat nicely, and which our spinner showed that the wicket was there for spin.
After the start that we got a good start. In the first 5 overs, we were about 36, 37. 6 overs, we were about 40. I thought that me and the other opener, Matul, we had a good start. And I honestly thought that we were on course for about 130, 140. I knew Dune would have come in the end and would have done his regular stuff, and the other guys would back through. But that didn't go to plan. They had a quick wicket, and then the run-out changed the game.
Yeah, the run-out changed the game for sure.
That was the problem.
He's going to ball, so I think he's going to go for another one.
Yeah. They are enjoying their flight, and one more ball sees flight, and that one catch it out in the stands.
No throw and strike.
29 runs to go, sending outside the off stump, and again another short ball.
I think that was a very special knock. It was very amazing to see him come out and show his dominance especially after just being selected for USA. So he really came and showed the selectors that his pick was really worth it.
Yeah, we knew he was going to come hard. We already figured out the plan was to get him out early. It didn't happen, and like I said, he played a very, very good knock. You can't take anything away from him. We just got to go back to the drawing board.
This platform is only going to bring USA even higher than they are. I mean, it allows some of us who are not getting opportunity in other countries to come here and play against the best of the best, especially the United States players. This week we played against Jaskran, last week we played against Stephen Taylor and Aaron Jones, and we have other cricketers out there that we're getting to play against. So it's a really nice experience, and I think MiLC is going to go above and beyond to make sure that it gets even better.
It feels special to represent the country. I've worked really hard. I mean, setbacks are all part of an athlete's life. I mean, I guess I have a positive mindset, and I learned from my mistakes, and I worked hard on where I was lacking, and I guess that all the hard work is paying off now, and hopefully I can contribute to the US team as well whenever I get an opportunity and make my team win. I mean, Cardinals is very close to me. I've been with them for 2 years now, and I mean, I'm going to miss them for sure, and then I hope you know, they keep the winning momentum, and then I can come back for the playoffs.
Joining the show now is Obus Pienaar, all-rounder for the St. Louis Americans. Thanks for joining, Obus. It's a treat having you on the show.
Thanks, Nate.
So your St. Louis Americans just beat the Houston Hurricanes in probably the best game of the weekend and one of the best games of the season. It seemed like an extremely satisfying game for you and your team after a couple of really tough weeks. It looked like you put it together. Can you talk about what that game meant to yourself and to the team?
Yeah, what a game it was. I think it was a good advertisement for cricket. It really was one of the better games I've played in since I've been here. In terms of what it meant for us as a team and what it meant for the community, I think for the community, it's probably the biggest thing was for the St. Louis community, the owners, the people involved at the academy. They put so much effort into the ground and being ready, all the planning that went into that. The community really stuck together and got a lot of things done. Every night we would train from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. They'd be there working after their 8 to 5 jobs at the field till about 12 o'clock at night. So yeah, that win probably meant a lot for us, but a lot more for the community.
Really, one of the key things to making a successful program or making something work in this country is having good volunteers, especially at this stage in our development. So it's good that I think it's great that you gave them a shout out there.
Yeah, definitely they deserve it.
Yeah, for sure. So it really looked like you guys had a lot of support at the ground. Speaking of those volunteers, you had a lot of fans there. It's an unmistakable ground. It's got that covered area. Definitely looks like something from the Midwest. The fans and teammates were pouring out of that covered picnic area and from around the ground onto the field when you won the game at the end. I got goosebumps watching that happen, just seeing another example of cricket catching on in a community in the United States. And you know, it's not something you see a whole lot of, but we're seeing it more. And right now, you know, nothing excites me more than that.
Yeah, I think that it's one of the first games that we've played that has had so many supporters. People would make that much noise, so there was a really good vibe at the ground.
People can follow along on YouTube. I think that's just an excellent, like you said, a great advertisement for the league, and there's more games to come. So that's, you know, that's the excellent thing about it, I think.
Yeah, that's well said. I think we're trying to create that excitement in the area, and it's definitely a weekend like that or game like that helps a lot. So, and then we back it up obviously with another weekend coming up, and we are hosting a lot more teams this weekend in St. Louis. So yeah,
right.
I think that would have created a lot of excitement.
This weekend is the intra-division games. So you'll be hosting West division teams. It's fun to watch the divisions mix it up. And this is another thing that sets the league apart from so many other leagues. Is yeah, you've got your regional division, but you're going to play the other divisions a couple of times every year. And to me, that's just excellent.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The more we can play different teams and even just teams coming here and seeing what we're doing in St. Louis, that there's actually really good cricket here. I think that's also important. Just spreading the word on cricket and keep building. And for us just to play other players as well, that's exciting.
What can we expect to see in the future from St. Louis, both in that community and your Americans team? We want people playing on turf, and your ground looks like it's got some serious potential.
Yeah, and I think the biggest advantage we've got here, or the owners of the American team and the AC Academy, is that they bought that ground.
Mm-hmm.
So they bought it about 5 years ago, and they've been developing it. And they've really put a lot of effort into it. Like you said, in the future, they're planning to get a turf wicket on there. They're building another field currently. So there'll be three fields there. So yeah, I think that's a massive advantage because you're investing into your own future. It's not like a council ground or anything like that. In terms of the academy, there's a lot of effort that goes into the academy. The minor league was still pretty new for them because we didn't have a minor league team last year, or the exhibition league they didn't participate in. So this is a good trial run for us. I think that they see where we need to improve on and what we need to add. And then they are very keen to keep adding and improving and doing better next.
So you had a lot of success in South Africa. You recently settled here. You're working with Luke Schofield in St. Louis, coaching kids along with others who've been brought in to help coach. So coaching and playing brought you here, but what are your ambitions as a player?
I think this opportunity came at a really good time for me. I sort of came towards the end of a career in South Africa in terms of just opportunities were a few and far between to really make it at the top level to try and play for South Africa. I think I'm still at that age where I could make the move if I wanted to, sort of that keep myself fit. These days you can play cricket until you're 40, really. So I think that's the goal, to keep fit, look after myself and keep playing cricket. The one thing I've really liked is we obviously focusing on T20 cricket here, and that's been good for me personally. So you don't have to worry about 4 days, or red ball cricket or 50 overs. You can really focus on your skill and try and improve that. And that's what I've been trying to do since I've been here. Like really work on that skill. And for me, the goal is to get into a couple of T20 leagues, TPL, Bangladesh Premier League, all those things eventually. So yeah, I think this gives you a pretty good platform to showcase your skills.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we really have the potential to have one of the most interesting T20 leagues in the world, if not the most interesting, especially because the people, a lot of people don't realize USA is pretty much a 12-month cricket season if you consider the South. So there is always a tournament going on somewhere in this country, and if you can spend long months focusing just on one format, I think after quite some time, I think our USA will be a powerhouse in that format.
Yeah, I think definitely, and the way forward for USA, obviously, I don't want to tell them what to do, but if they focus on T20, you just narrow down and you know what the focus point is. And at this moment, for me, one thing that's been exciting is obviously we want to start playing all of our games on turf wicket. But for me personally, playing some games on artificials, it's the first time in my life that I've done that. It's actually enhanced my game a little bit because you've got to think outside the box. You've got to adapt. And equally, you basically play on different kinds of wickets every week, different outfields. So yeah, you really have to be adaptable, and your skill has to be quite spot on.
A point that I make all the time, as we develop more and more turf, we're going to have, it's still going to be different everywhere you go. Every weekend you go to another town, it's going to have a different wicket. We have such a variety of geography in this country. So from one end to the other, we're going to have some vastly different grounds. I think we have the potential to develop some very adaptable cricketers.
Yeah, and that, once you start playing international cricket, that's key. If you can play on different kinds of surfaces and you're used to it, I think that's going to be a big advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. Well, thanks for joining me, Obus. Keep the performances coming and finish the year strong with the Americans and enjoy the interdivision play this weekend.
Thanks a lot, Nate. Good job on the podcast and the work you're doing with the cricket, and it's nice to finally get on the show.
Great. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. It's time for a segment that's near and dear to us all. the Emerging Cricket Emerging Player of the Week. Joining me as usual is Aaman Patel. Aaman, thanks for joining once again.
Of course, thanks for having me on.
So once again, we had a few great performers, some names that we've talked about a lot in the past. Sai Mukamala, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, Ali Sheikh, Vatsal Vighela. And this time, Mohit Patel entered the chat. And Jagrup Raina blew the doors off of SoCal on Sunday. So Aaman, who is it? Who's the winner this week?
I think it's a tight race between Jagrup Raina and Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Jagrup had an incredible innings, 73 off of 33, but I think for the all-around performance that Sanjay had, we're going to go ahead and give Sanjay Krishnamurthy, I believe, his second Emerging Cricket Emerging Player of the Week award. Again, 3 wickets and 63 runs and 33 deliveries in one match. Really, just a dominating performance from him for the East Bay Blazers. So Sanjay Krishnamurthy would have to be my pick for this weekend.
Yeah, it's a great choice. He's one of those players. Any weekend he could win that. He could win that award. Any weekend he could win the player of the. If we had a Player of the Week award for all players, he could win it. He's a very good player. He's a great prospect. He's an asset to have for the USA, and he's scoring at a ridiculous rate, and he's at a ridiculous average on a very difficult wicket, or a above average difficulty wicket in California. So that's a great choice. I mean, Jagrup was incredible. I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him. The last couple of weeks he's been pretty dang good. So that's a great choice. We talked a lot last week about the East being real tight, and New Jersey Stallions went ahead by 2 games last weekend. And now those Bay Area teams still haven't played each other in a while. And there's 3 teams right there, all of them in the Bay Area, right in the race. You have to, I think right now you got to favor East Bay because Silicon Valley Strikers just lost their 2 top bowlers to the USA national men's team. They'll be gone for 3 weeks. So I think this is a time where we're going to see guys like Sanjay really step it up. And I don't know if some of the other teams can overcome not having a U21 player of his caliber in that division.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes about how good this guy is. I mean, they are, again, like you said, putting him in a prime batting role, giving him his full quota of overs every single game. He's always in the wickets. He's always in amongst the runs. And I think for a team that's positioned themselves in first place to have a guy like Sanjay Krishnamurthy who they can trust and who's going to be there for a very long time, it's just such an asset for them. And I think it speaks volumes about where his game's at such a young age.
Silicon Valley Strikers are going to be losing their top 2 bowlers to the USA team. Deb Tadani is an option for them. He bowled incredibly well last season as a U19 for I believe the East Bay Blazers, and now he's with Silicon Valley, and I think he's probably going to get more chances now with those 2 brilliant bowlers gone. So we're going to see how they do. He might step in and be their guy, and then of course Golden State has Vatsal Vighela. So it's going to get interesting. This coming weekend, we've got 35 games. A lot of teams are playing 3 times. Who's your player to watch this week?
This weekend, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick the guy we didn't pick for this Emerging Player of the Week, Jagrup Raina. I think he had an unbelievable innings last weekend, 75 off of 33 in a terrific chase. He's going to be on Astro in St. Louis. I think he's going to, again, give someone else some poison ivy chasing his ball. So I'm going to go ahead and pick him.
Yeah, I think he's going to hit some balls on the road over there. So, yeah, well, since you pretty much took the guy I was thinking about, so I'm going to go with Ritwik Behera from the DC Hawks, who he's got 3 games. We're waiting for him to have a big breakthrough game. He's certainly capable of it. I wouldn't be surprised if he had 2 big breakthrough games this weekend. So let's see what happens. But I'm waiting for Ritwik Behera to make his mark on this.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick from him. 3 games, and again, I think we all expect him to come and break out at some point.
Absolutely. Well, Aaman, thanks again for joining us as always, and this has always been a good time. Hey, next time you're going to have to get some gear from one of the teams that comes to visit.
I know. I need to start stocking up like you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Good luck.
I appreciate it.
And finally, it's time for things I really liked about Week 5. Big Nate, Danae Nathaniel, crushing it to square leg.
It came in. Oh, and a shot that commentators watch out is coming. Oh, and it's hit the commentators' tent.
And by it, I mean our comms tent.
My goodness me.
And it hit the tent so hard that it looks like it broke the supports.
Everything happening at Church Street Park.
Don't bowl that way anymore. USA Women's head coach Julia Price making an appearance on comms for minor league cricket.
Happy with that. Probably the ball got on him just a little quicker than he was expecting and just sort of caught that top edge. Didn't really get through the shot as well as he could have, but a magnificent effort there. And that's the sort of catches that you want to be taking when you've got the power play and you haven't really got a sniff of a wicket at this stage. You've got to be able to take those catches to keep you in the game.
Tom Nielsen's minor league power rankings. Sure to shake up after the coming weekend of 35 interdivision games. Having the opportunity to interview Liam Plunkett for Emerging Cricket.
But with the opportunity to play Major League Cricket in a place like America, where the sport's for fanatics, and when they get a hold of something, it gets big and bigger and bigger. And to be able to be in one place and live with my wife in our house that we've had for the last 8 to 10 years in Westchester, PA, like I mentioned before, it seemed like an opportunity of a lifetime.
Thanks again for joining us. We truly appreciate your support. Please like the video, subscribe, and follow Emerging Cricket on all social channels. And do the bell thing for notifications. Here's the top 10.
This one is short, and he's caught him.
Morgan Hill early in the morning as Sudgeon comes back into the attack. And Chunk.
What are they going to do as a team? This has been slapped into the trees. That's probably gone straight into the creek.
Oh, he's bowling.
On the boundary. 6 from the 2 he's faced, and he is going to go out on the final ball, stumped as well. Ganesh picks off a pair. It's a 5-fer for Abby Singh.
And the Marshall Cardinals finish it off. And does it in style.
Let's go home.
Big shot up in the air. Will it clear?